Right, so we're picking up this one. We've done this some of the shipyard years to 1980. We're going to go back to about 58, 59,
Well,
when you left the army.
We did a bit of that, didn't we?
We did a bit of that. So from there onwards, more the family out of work aspects.
Yeah.
Take it from wherever you want to start from.
Yeah, well, what about when I went fishing and all that?
Right, go on.
Because there was something about that, wasn't there?
You talked about going fishing, yeah. You talked about being member number two.
Number one, number two.
Of Furnace Fishing.
Furnace Fishing or Furnace Angling.
Yeah, you talked about a bit of that.
Yeah.
You did talk about a variety of bits outside of work, your cars, your bikes.
Yeah.
And things like that. But one of the crucial bits we were laughing about last time, I've had some comments back from the family, is when we got to 1918, we hadn't talked about any of that, but we were doing the shipyard story, weren't we? So up to you. Where do you want to start?
Anywhere, I don't mind. Just start it.
It's going, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right. Good job on doing something I shouldn't. No, I've just been thinking, because when we started doing it, I started thinking back, and little things keep cropping up.
Yeah.
The little stories, and now we're sitting here. I can't remember.
Yeah, we'll do like an omnibus or something at the end. You have to write down some of the.
Yeah. Because I found a little book today, and I was going to buy it, and it was Grandad's Memories, it was called.
What was it?
And it was a proper printed book, and it had little pockets in to put your photos in, little mementos in, and then it had pages where you could write little bits in it. So I thought, shall I buy it? And I thought,
we got it all on this now for posterity.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
If but the thing is, again, I was thinking I need to get some photographs.
Yeah,
together,
that'd be good. Yeah.
But your mother's got a load of photographs, and she's got a lot of photographs that were taken when I was in charge of the piecework and work study department and shipyard services, had presentations with all the staff there.
Right.
So I had a big folder with them in. It's about 30 or 40 photographs.
Oh, right.
But I can't find it here. But I think your mother's got them.
That's fun, yeah. So that's fun. I need to see her.
I keep saying to her about, what have you got? And she's got a big family tree, a big sheet like that.
Yeah.
But it's got a family tree on, and you've got to find our branch of the family on it to see where I was. But there's also photographs on this big family tree.
Right. Okay.
I got it sent from a relative or somebody relation that was down south. When I started doing it years ago, when I was delving a little bit, and I got in touch with a Gorn that I met down Ramside Village Hall. Yeah. Brenda Gorn. And she was quizzing me, and I was quizzing her, and she said she had some relative away somewhere. So we got in touch on Facebook, and then he said, I've got a big family tree. So he sent it up to me. Yeah. So I gave that to your mother. Right. And then there's a Gorn lives down Holbeck, and he'd gone way back on the family to 1775 or something, from up the coast. Yeah. And there was an Alec Gorn. Now this is strange. I met him through the yard. It was called Alec Gorn. He worked on the telephones, and he lived at Urswick.
Yeah.
But he said his grandmother lived in Robert Street. Well, my grandmother lived in Robert Street.
Right.
So apparently there was 2 Gawns in Robert Street.
Right. It's not the same person. It's not a...
Well, we never got to the bottom of it.
Right.
So I don't know what happened, but I'll show you some books after.
Yeah.
That's
I was just thinking there, you not mention anything about your grandparents. What would you?
No, well, I didn't know.
A great deal, no.
No,
not a lot anyway. You obviously
no,
your grandma on Robert Street.
I didn't know a lot because I was in a broken family, so I was on there.
Yeah.
Got me with my dad dying.
Yeah.
You know, he was a gone.
Yeah.
And then my mother's dad, he got killed because apparently he was a cable jointer on the electricity board.
Right.
And somebody switched the juice on and he got blown up.
You're joking.
You know, became one of the bright sparks. So I don't know about that. And this is from what I've been putting together.
Yeah.
And my great granddad is recorded in a book there. Because I've got some yearbooks of Barrow.
Yeah.
They were books that had everybody in Barrow and where they lived. But it was only the head of the family who owned the house.
Right.
So I've got some of that. And my great granddad was classed as a cowkeeper.
Right.
And he lived down Devon Street.
Right. Oh, is this where you mentioned the yard?
I mentioned the small holding.
Yeah.
So that's that side of the family.
Yeah.
And then on my mother's side, there was about six brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
There was my Uncle John, he was the eldest one.
Yeah.
I think. Uncle John, Uncle Jim, Uncle George, Uncle Bill, and Auntie Jean.
Yeah.
Now, my Uncle Bill, he was the one that was in the army, I think I mentioned.
Oh, yeah, but he's gone.
And he was in the Royal Signals. He got killed at El Alamein.
Yeah.
My Uncle John was a draftsman in the yard.
Yeah.
And he ended up in a home, him and his wife. But he was St. John's Ambulance. He was quite high up in the St. John's Ambulance here.
Yeah.
So that's my Uncle John, and that's a medal that I mentioned a while ago. I don't know whether it was out of this. Then Uncle George, he was a draftsman in the yard.
Yeah.
And he was a rugby referee.
Right.
So that was that. There was Uncle Jim. He was an electrician.
Yeah.
And he got married to a lass. And he worked in the yard, and then he went subcontracting. And he was installing all the substations abroad.
Yeah.
So he used to work 6 months abroad and 6 months here because he didn't have to pay tax.
Right.
And he married a lass in Dent from here.
Yeah.
And they moved to Manchester, Metrovix, because that's who we worked for, Metrovix. And they opened a confectioner's shop in Dent, I think it was. Denton.
Really? Yeah. All right. Yeah, we've got friends in Denton.
Yeah, in Manchester. So that was Uncle Jim. My uncle, did I mention Richard?
No.
No, well, Uncle Dick, that's Richard. He was an electrician in the yard.
Yeah.
And he was the one that lived in Brook Street.
Right.
That looked after the small holding.
Right, yeah, I buy it.
And he worked in the yard, so he was an electrician. My uncle my Uncle Bill, he worked for the electricity board, but I didn't get much of his history.
Yeah.
Then there was my Auntie Jean. I don't know what she did. She was just worked anywhere.
Yeah.
You know. And she married to somebody called Howson.
All right.
Ollie Howson, and he was in the Navy. So that was him, and they had 2 children. There was Leslie, I had his name on it. She died with disease of the lungs through smoking too much.
Yeah.
And she married Len Hanna, who had a business in town doing the suspended ceilings.
Right.
I still meet Len now and again. My Uncle Dick, the lady he married, she was a Myerscough. She was called Myerscough. And they had a milk business. I'm not too sure whether they were the people that rented the stables on the small holding, because there was a Myerscough, there was a milkman down that area.
Yeah.
And I'm still in touch with my Auntie Margaret, Auntie Maggie. Still in touch with her sister's son, because she married a Barrow.
Right.
They were called Barrows.
Right.
And I was still in touch with Jackie Barrow, that lives down the course road.
Right.
He does vans up and makes them into camper vans.
Right.
He's 92.
Right.
Still going strong. He's a friend of Kate's as well, or Kate's a friend of his. So there's Jackie, my Uncle Dick. He had 3 or 4 children. There was Harry, Moira, Brenda, and Kenneth. Harry went to the grammar school. He was there when I was there. When he left, he went to Harwell in the atomic energy side of it.
Yeah.
And he died of leukemia.
Right.
He got married and had I think he had a daughter or a son. Well, one of my Uncle Dick's relation, called Richard, he lives away, and I'm still in touch with him. And his Kenneth, I don't know where he started, but he had a model shop in Barrow on Abbey Road, right, the shop next to virtually next to the Strawberry, the block where the Strawberry is. There used to be a shop on the end of that block coming in.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Coming into Barrow.
Yeah.
He had that, and then he moved to Millham.
Right.
When you went into Millham on Station Road, it was on one of the bungalows. Did I mention Moira?
One of the kids, yeah.
Yeah. Well, Moira, I knew Moira. It's a strange coincidence. I think I mentioned it as well, that when she got married to George Griffiths, and he lived with his parents in this house where I live now.
Right. Oh, you're joking.
And then at one stage, when they were married, they lived in the flat on Earl Street.
Oh, you did mention that. Yeah.
So
yeah, all lived in the city. Yeah.
That was that. My uncle. I'm talking about me mother's side.
Yeah.
Because I know more about them.
Yeah.
Because I was in amongst them all the time.
Yeah, but not your dad's side.
So.
And were your dad's family from Barra?
Well, when the story is that there was two brothers that came over from the Isle of Man.
Mm.
One was a stonemason and one was a watchmaker.
Right.
And they settled in Liverpool.
Mm.
And then one brother came up here and the other brother followed him.
Right.
So this is where there was two branches of the family.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, this is what I've gathered.
What you figured out, yeah.
Yeah. So one of them was a stonemason.
Yeah.
Ended up, well, I don't know whether he was a stonemason, but there was a stonemason in the family that used to have making headstones opposite the cemetery gates, the top of Highfield Road.
Yeah.
There was that one there, and then the watchmaker, they had a shop on Dalton Road. I think it was 35 or 37 Dalton Road.
Right.
And then I don't know whether it was him or one of his sons carried on with the watchmaking business when it shut down, and he had a shop at the bottom of Harrison Street, just up from it was Benson's on the corner of Harrison Street and Dalton Road.
Yeah.
There was a little shop up there, and he ended up in there, and then it became Kay's, Benson's.
Yeah.
And then they opened an entertainment agency and they bought the shop off him. It was like, when you went in, it was like the Black Hole of Calcutta. I only had one lamp.
Yeah.
And I remember going through the door, there was the counter, and at the back, there was one lamp over his workbench. And his workbench was piled high with bits and pieces of watches. Uncle Tom.
So what relation was he? He was your uncle, was he?
He was my uncle in some roundabout sort of way.
Yeah.
I've never actually pinned these down to
specifics. Yeah.
And then delving further, my granddad from Robert Street, he was, as far as I can make out, he was a blacksmith.
Right.
Because there was lots of blacksmith shops then around in the 1900s because there was horses.
Horses, yeah.
Well, there was a blacksmith shop in Allison Street. You know where Allison Street is?
Where?
It's the one down from School Street.
Oh, yeah.
Between Rollinston Street and School Street.
So.
There was a couple of blacksmith shops in there.
Yeah.
And as far as I can gather, he worked in one of those at one stage, and he also did ruse smithy, like going down to do jobs in Ruse.
In Ruse, right, at the smithy there, yeah.
Which is now the chip shop.
The chip shop, yeah, right, the old smithy.
The old smithy, the chip shop.
You never put two and two together with stuff like that, do you? Really?
No.
Well, I didn't. Anyway.
And then there was another Gorn that lived at Lindell.
Right.
And he was a travelling blacksmith.
Right. So.
From what I gather, because I met one of his daughters.
Yeah.
Who was married to a plater in the yard, and when we got talking, that's how I found out that she was a Gorn, but I never actually pinned that one down as to who was who. So it's a lot of disjointed history that I'm putting together, or trying to put together. But
feels like you got a lot of the pieces there.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how many electricians you had in your family?
Yeah.
How bizarre.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
So, and then I met somebody and they said, "Oh, we're related."
Right.
I said, "How come?" "Oh, well, somewhere along the way, there was a Gorn in the family, and they were called Mees. And they did televisions. He was a television engineer later on in life."
Called Mees, M-E-A-S-E?
Yeah.
Right, no way. I've got a mate who's called Maze.
Well, there you go. They used to live in Rydale Road.
Right.
Apparently, Mees.
Do you remember the first name? The person?
No.
There can't be many Meeses in Barry. He's the only person I've ever come across.
I'll show you the yearbooks and you can chase them. And then there's a Gorn. There's still a few Gorns around.
Yeah, I work with them. Yeah.
Whether we're all related or not, I don't know.
It's a pretty unique name, isn't it?
I found out the other day because I had an auntie called Phoebe Crabtree.
Right.
And I got some pictures of one of her sons or grandsons the other day.
Yeah.
Showing his mother, which is my Auntie Phoebe, I found out it was my grandmother's sister.
Right.
Because she's on the picture.
Right.
And they've got the names, and they've got the names of one of the daughters that I knew, Marjorie Crabtree, that was a nurse. So I don't know what happened to her when she got married. So there's a lot of photographs going that way.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of potted history there.
Yeah.
That's in my mind. Yeah. That needs to come together somehow.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it?
I used to go down to the Borough Library because they started a course on family history.
You need to turn that wall behind you into a big family tree. Little post-it notes.
Yeah. So I started doing a bit there, and that's where I met George Gorn.
Right.
That's another relation who happened to be an electrician in the yard. That's another one.
Really?
George, yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
George Gorn. And I was talking to him, Ted Gorn. There was a Teddy Gorn who worked in the yard, but he came into the yard later on, and he worked in the works engineers, and then he went to work at Askham Brickworks, and that's the one that I said had the history going back to 1775.
Right.
But I'm still in touch with his wife and some of his family.
Yeah.
The Gorns, they live in Cedar Road.
Right.
And there's one lives down South Row. I forget what he's called. But if you look on Facebook, you'll find a few Derek Gorns.
Yeah, I've seen that on Facebook. Someone had posted a picture. They call themselves Des. I thought you'd got yourself a new nickname, but
no, but there's Derek Gorns, and there's a lot in America.
Yeah,
you'll find that there's a lot in America. In fact, years ago, I don't know whether they still do it. They do a big book with the Gorns in,
right?
But could be anybody because the Isle of Man's full of them.
Yeah,
if you go to the Isle of Man, it's full of them.
Full of Gorns. Yeah.
So that's little bits of the family tree going back. And my grandmother, Jane Ann Battersby, because she married John Battersby.
Yeah.
There was I don't know whether it was William or John, can't remember now. I think it was William. She was a WAF.
Oh yeah. Women's Air Force, was it? Was that what it
a WAF. WAUGH. Oh. WAF. She was called WAF before she was married. Right?
Is it not War?
Well, it's Johnny WAF. And he married... she had a brother and a sister that I know of. Well, John WAF had the tobacconist on Dalton Road, next to Jones, the shoemaker, which was next door but one to the Bull, the big pub on the corner of Paxton Street and Dalton Road. So he was a tobacconist there, and I used to get sent down for 5 woodbines.
Yeah.
Or a woodbine and a match for a penny. And at the other end, they had a sister who married a Hubble. That was at the other end of Harrison Street, next door, but one to the, forget what the shop was now, but they had the tobacconist at the other end.
Right.
So Harrison Street was sewn up.
Yeah,
with the family business. Then we had the watchmakers business. So, but when I was in the yard, I had access. I think I mentioned I had access to all sorts of places.
Yeah.
And I went in the personnel one day.
Yeah.
And said I want to find the Gorns. So they used to keep a little card, like a library card, with the Gorns name on it, who you were, when you started and what you did.
Right.
So I got all the Gorns out of there.
Yeah.
And photostated them, and your mother's got a copy of them.
Right. Oh,
where the Gorns were.
Yeah.
And you'll find on that there was a blacksmith in the yard.
Right. Yeah.
So that ties in with the blacksmith
outside
side of it.
Yeah, because they've been in and out of the yard in that era, I suppose, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I'd love to know if all those personnel files are still there. You know, like when you were talking about your mum doing the crane driving and silver service and everything, and see what sort of record they have of everything. You know what I mean? I don't know whether they've still got anything or.
Yeah, there's the records, because I know I claimed for deafness.
Yeah.
And the solicitors delve into everything, and it's in one of the folders that you're going to get.
Yeah.
It's got my medical records going back from when I started.
Right.
And the medical records are when go on. The medical record. Sorry about that. It's
brief interlude.
Blooming daft dog. The medical records that they kept are when you used to go to the ambulance room for any minor ailments, or go up to the works clinic with the big ones. Those ambulance rooms around the yard. So if you had to go and get, say, you had a cut, you had to go and get it seen to. If it was that bad, you went to the ambulance room, or if it needed stitches, they sent you up the works clinic, which was down Cavendish Park, and that's where they did the major things down there, eyes and things like that, if you couldn't get it out. So I do know this medical records, and my medical record is photostated. So they did keep them. Yeah. And they used to keep, when I was secretary of the suggestion scheme, they kept all the suggestions in big books, and they were kept in Craven House. When there was some personnel went down there. I think it was when it was the engineering, when it split up, the engineering bits went down there. Right. And I got them all brought up, so I don't know what happened to them.
God knows. Yeah, I'd have to ask around. I don't really know who does that now. I did once go down into, in A43 Top Yard, the main shipyard offices. Yeah, the basement down there. Yeah. In the corner. Well, I went right down there. There was all sorts down there.
There used to be a library there.
Right. Well, there were rows. There were just big rows of big bookcases, cabinets type thing. Yeah. Under there, but it was a mess. It wasn't. Yeah, I know. It wasn't great. That was nearly 15 years ago when I started. Yeah. I don't know what.
Well, they started a library, and Harry Wallace was in charge of it. Mm. He was the librarian. Yeah. But you mentioned the cellars, and we're talking about family here.
Yeah.
And then we've gone on to that. But when you mention the cellars, under the general office cellars, the big cellars, where the directors were.
Yes, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Under there.
Yeah.
And you need to get down there or get somebody to go down, because I told you I spent many an hour down there looking after the heating system, putting that pipe in, and wiring it all up. There was great big books like that with acceptance certificates for the boats.
Right.
Great big illuminated things.
Yeah, well, we've got some of them on show now. I know the type, very ornate. So,
they're very ornate.
Yeah.
And that's what your retirement certificate used to be like.
Right.
If you've ever seen them.
No, I've never seen one. Yeah.
You'll see pictures of them. They were the size of them virtually in a big frame.
Right. Yeah.
But also down there, because I went and complained to Jimmy Glasgow about it when he was managing director, there was all the photos that went from the Duke of Devonshire, the first boat they built, the big glass slides.
Oh, right, yeah.
Big glass photographic slides. They're all down there in the cellar, in boxes on shelves.
Yeah.
They're in metal boxes. The metal boxes had been broken open, and all the slides were on the floor. And just lying there, people were walking on them. And they were taking them home for greenhouses because they were the right size. There you go. You see. So I went and complained to Jimmy Glasgow, and I said, you want to get something done with it.
All that history just...
So that, because the photographic department moved around. Anyway, where was it? Tracing the family history, wasn't there?
Well, what do you remember? Yeah, what do you remember about some of the main people in the family that you haven't talked about? So, because otherwise we'll end up chronicling every gone in existence here. But what were they?
Well, I always remembered my Uncle Bill. I told you about my Uncle Bill.
Yeah.
But I say I never saw a lot of them because they were older.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't live with us, and we came across them. If you know what I mean. You weren't with them all the time.
Yeah.
Because they'd left the family home, and it ended up with there was my Auntie Jean. She was the youngest one. She ended up at home when my mum and my stepdad came, and my grandmother, and then there was me.
Yeah.
So I used to sleep in the front bedroom with my grandmother.
Yeah.
And then they had the others between them. So I don't remember much about it, you know. I don't think I was interested, to be honest.
Yeah.
At that age, I was too busy enjoying myself.
Making explosives.
Yeah, well, that's... Yeah. And somebody wanted to know what happened after the fight on the train, didn't they?
Oh, yeah. Well, you told it in the last one, didn't you?
Yeah.
So, that was Tash, that, I think.
It was. So nothing much happened after that. I swore off fighting till the army. So, as I say, little bits keep cropping up, you know. I can go on about cars and how I repaired cars. But I came out the army, went back in the yard, and I was talking about what I was doing in the yard when I came out the army and looking after the airfield and this, that and the other, and then going into work study and then getting married. So I think I'd got married, hadn't I?
Well, you glossed over that bit.
Carried on in 1962 when I got married.
Right.
Because your grandma used to work in the personnel office.
Got married to Nana in 1962? Yeah, right.
Because your mother used to... your nana
Yeah.
used to work in the personnel department.
Yeah.
In the shipyard.
Yeah.
But the personnel department, the main personnel department, was in the King's Gate.
Right. Yeah.
But they had a subsidiary in the shipyard gate.
Yeah.
By the gatehouse, just behind the gatehouse. It's gone now.
Right.
It's all been knocked down. There was the two of them. There was your nana and a girl called Joan Cooper.
Mm.
There was only the two of them worked in there.
Right.
And that's where I met her.
Right.
Because I had to go and do a job, and I was always in there after that.
Yeah.
And then we got married, and that was it. And then children came on. Nikki came on. She was the ice maiden because there was a bad year, 63, the winter of 63.
Oh, yeah.
There was snow and all sorts. So that's when your mother was born in 1963. But all that time when I was working, and I think I told you the hours I was working a lot of overtime.
Yeah.
3 weekends out of 4,
Yeah.
and you work Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
And when you did the weekends, so it was sort of 3 weekends on and 1 off.
Yeah.
So it was like 12 hours a day, wasn't it? Or a bit longer.
Yeah.
Piper, shut up. But in my spare time, I wasn't at home.
Yeah.
I was busy working because I was doing foreigners.
Yeah.
I was going out and wiring houses.
Yeah.
And fixing cars and doing that to get some money in.
Yeah.
And then, so I didn't have much sort of home time.
Yeah.
But we used to go off of a weekend with your great granddad.
Yeah.
Hamilton, because your mother had a brother. Let's start again. Your nana was called Hamilton.
Yeah.
Margaret Mary Hamilton.
Yeah.
And she had a brother called Gerard.
Yeah.
And twin sisters called Anne and Pat. So we used to go off with the twins.
Yeah.
Your great granddad and great grandma.
Yeah. John and Lilius.
John and Lilius.
Yeah.
And Gerard.
Yeah.
And the twins. And your mum and us used to go off.
Yeah.
And we used to go to Scottgate Caravan Park for our holidays, which is just outside Keswick.
All right.
We used to go there.
Yeah.
Because your great granddad and grandma were alive then as well.
Right.
They were Higgins.
Thomas. And
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Rebecca Higgins.
Rebecca Struthers Higgins. Is that right? Yeah.
They lived in King Alfred Street.
Yeah.
And your great grandma and great granddad lived in Latona Street, and we lived in Lord Robert Street.
Okay. So so they were alive when my mum was born. No, I didn't. To be honest, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were still going.
Yeah.
Because they didn't die until the 50s. The 60s, 70s.
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah, I think it was the early 70s.
Right.
Because I think your great granddad died.
Mm.
Then your great grand, or whoever it was, Thomas, he died, and then
Rebecca.
And then she died, then and your grandma, the Hamilton, they went to live in King Alfred Street, and Gerard, the son, bought that house in Latona Street.
Right.
Bought it off him in Latona Street.
Yeah.
Then John died. No, then my mother died, and Andrew died, and then your grandma died. Anyway, what was he talking about?
We were talking about how we used to go on holiday with me.
Oh yeah, well, we used to go on holiday.
Born. You were working a lot, but
but of a Sunday,
we
generally used to go off round the lakes because I had a car.
Yeah,
and we all used to pile in the car. There was no seat belts or anything like that.
No jumping.
And no drink driving, but we were allowed to drink drive, weren't we?
What was it like having your first child?
What was it like? It's a long time ago. It was all right. Took a lot of gene off the lads, didn't you? I suppose it put a lot more responsibility on you, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, you were chuffed and this, that, and the other, and then the others came about at 3-yearly intervals.
Yeah.
You know, 63, 66, and 69.
Yeah.
That's how I remember. But I can't remember birthdays. The only birthday I can remember is your mother's.
Aye.
Because that's the 2nd of January. Yeah. I always remember that one.
I won't test you on the others, don't worry.
And I remember, while your nana, because when they had babies in the old days, if you didn't have them at home, you used to go into Rysdale Nursing Home,
right,
which is a private nursing home.
Yeah.
That's where my Uncle John and his wife ended up and died in there. Used to go in there, and I remember, because we had coal fires. We had coal fires.
Yeah.
We didn't have gas fires or anything in the house, just coal fires.
Well, when Mum was a baby, you still had a coal fire,
we had the coal fire.
60s,
because the house wasn't knocked through.
Yeah.
Because I knocked that through.
Oh, right.
We had in the parlour.
Yeah.
Was because every room had a fireplace in.
Yeah.
We had a fireplace in the parlour and a fireplace in the living room.
Yeah.
So all the heating in the house was the coal fire.
And this is at Lord Robert Street, was it?
In Lord
so that
Robert
so was that was the first place you bought with
Yeah.
Nana, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
That was the one that had problems with the policy. Remember me saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, not being allowed to buy it. So that was the heating. But as I say, of a weekend we used to go off round the lakes somewhere, up to Coniston or the east side of the lakes, and there's a few photographs of that. I think your mum's got.
Yeah, I remember seeing
around there.
Yeah.
And Scottgate, we used to go up to Woodland Valley on a Sunday when I wasn't working.
Yeah.
And then we went up to Scotland, up to the foot of Ben Nevis.
Oh yeah, Fort William, is it? Is that where
we
the
went up to Fort William and up there where was.
Yeah.
Up there.
Glencore.
So we went up there. We went to Gloucester. Blackpool, used to go to Blackpool and Markham and all the places like that. But as I say, I was working a lot.
Yeah.
When I think about it, I was more at work than I was at home.
There's a lot like that, innit? Well, I take it the pay wasn't amazing in the yard if you had to do so much overtime to,
it was,
to pay for a family.
Say £20 a week or something.
Yeah.
It was enough to. Well, we had money.
Yeah.
We had the money to buy clothes and I had money to drive a car.
Yeah.
But when I had the cars, I was doing other people's cars and motorbikes.
Yeah.
So I was getting, I was getting money to do that.
Yeah.
So we could keep a car to keep us running.
Yeah.
Because I sold my cars when I got married.
Right.
So for the first year we were married, we didn't have a car.
Right.
Because the car I had, I sold to your great granddad, John.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The car.
Where did you get married at? Was it Columbus? Or...
Yeah.
Yeah, was it? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I've ever seen any pictures.
And we had the wedding reception in the Chinese cafe on Duke Street, believe it or not.
Yeah, Chinese cafe on Duke Street. What's that now?
Well, it was the Sunlight. There's still.
Oh yeah.
There's two Chinese cafe, but we couldn't find anywhere for the receptions.
Yeah.
They were all booked up.
Yeah.
So that was the only one that fit in with the dates that the church had and whatever else.
Yeah.
So we ended up upstairs in there.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
So you had Mum, 63.
Yeah.
And then Andrew, 66. Kate's the youngest, isn't she?
Kate was 66.
Was Kate 66? Oh, sorry, I was.
No, what was it? No.
No.
It was Andrew, 60.
Yeah.
Kate's a young one, 69.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Andrew in 66. And we went with my mother and Huey to Filey one year.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids, there was only, went to Filey holiday camp, Butlins, at Filey. I borrowed my mate's big car. Joe Murray, he had a big Ford Zephyr estate, like the big American type thing.
Yeah.
So he let me borrow his car and he had mine. And we went there. And I always remember about Andrew, he was still in his trolley.
Yeah.
So it was 1971, I think it was. No. He was still in a trolley anyway.
Yeah.
Because your nana's got that big charcoal painting on the wall, hasn't she?
Oh, yeah, I know the one, yeah.
So that's got the date on.
Yeah.
It's got a date on there. I remember buying him a trilby.
Yeah.
And he was in his trolley and he had this trilby, and every time he saw him, howdy, man. He must have been watching cowboy films or something. And then one day he disappeared.
Yeah.
And well, actually gone because we were going to the theatre, and we were in the theatre. And next thing he had, we've got people coming on the stage to give us recitations, and he walked on the stage. We didn't know where he'd gone, and he'd come on the stage, and he had to give his name and address. And he said, "What are you going to do?" "I'm going to give a recital." "What are you going to say?" "Well, I'm going to say a poem." "Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall, eating black bananas. Where do you think he put the skins? Down his best pyjamas." And that was on the stage in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What age was he when he did that?
I always remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we went to Gloucester, went to Prinnage Abbey because I was stationed in Gloucester, remember?
Yeah.
And I said, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back, so I went back there. And then I went into the work store, and then I was doing foreigners on my own then.
Yeah.
And then when I went into work study, and I met there was other electricians, John Winwood, Paul Barton, and me, and Charlie Morris. So that was 5 of us, wasn't it? 5, was it 4 or 5 of us? Well, Paul Barton, he was in the round table, and he was getting jobs through the round table. So
what's the round table? What's the round table?
You know, a round table that do charity work. Have you not been asked to join that?
The Rotary Club? No,
there's a round table which is similar to the Rotary.
Oh, okay. No.
So they're all charitable organisations.
Right.
They have it's like a dartboard, black and white. The little round badge.
Right.
Round table. Then there's the Lions, isn't there?
Yes. Yeah. I'm aware of them. Yeah.
Then there's the Masons.
Yeah.
So he got the jobs, and we're I think I mentioned we're going to Ulverston, out of town, Newby Bridge. We did 2 churches. We did Bardsey Church and Neville Street Church in Ulverston.
Yeah.
Rewired them. So I was busy.
Yeah, sounds it. Yeah.
And then I say when I had a bit of spare time, I was always down the scrapyard looking for bits to put in cars.
Yeah.
So I'm at a bit of a loss now. We're going around there.
It's all right. We're not far off an hour, you know.
Oh, we know.
We could pull stumps there for a week and come out at 53 minutes.
Yeah. Oh,
it's gone quick, hasn't it?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I'll pause it there till next time.